Like, you should be killing them. Because you've been doing it a lot longer than they have. Will Caitlin Clark come into the WNBA and do what she's doing right now? Absolutely not. But I don't really care what the record is, who has the record. Every time Caitlin has the ball, she pushes off.
The WNBA has always been a league filled with drama, intensity, and passionate debates. But the recent clash between legendary player Sheryl Swoopes and rising star Caitlin Clark has taken things to a whole new level. As we dive into this story, consider this eye-opening statistic. The WNBA's average viewership has declined by over 20% in the past 5 years. What could be causing this downward trend, and how might the Swoopes-Clark saga play a role in the league's uncertain future? Just a few months ago, Sheryl Swoopes, a WNBA icon and trailblazer, found herself at the center of a heated controversy after making some rather inflammatory comments about Caitlin Clark, one of the league's brightest young talents. Swoopes' words quickly ignited a firestorm, leading the WNBA to take the drastic step of terminating her contract as a commentator. But what exactly prompted this dramatic turn of events, and what does it say about the current state of the league? Let's take a closer look. For years, Sheryl Swoopes was a dominant force in the WNBA, a player whose skill and tenacity on the court were matched only by her outspoken nature off of it. Swoopes was never one to shy away from controversy, and that reputation only grew after her retirement, as she transitioned into more vocal roles as a commentator and analyst. However, it was Swoopes' recent comments about Caitlin Clark that truly set the basketball world ablaze. Swoopes, a longtime advocate for the WNBA, suddenly found herself at odds with one of the league's brightest young stars. In a series of interviews, Swoopes openly questioned Clark's attitude, her style of play, and even her overall impact on the game. Caitlin Clark is more about Caitlin Clark than she is about the WNBA, Swoopes said in one particularly scathing remark. The backlash was swift and severe. Fans, players, and media members alike lambasted Swoopes for her comments, accusing her of undermining the very league she had once championed. Many saw her words as a thinly veiled attack on the growing popularity of players like Clark, who had become a sensation in the women's game thanks to her electrifying play and magnetic personality. To fully understand the context of this controversy, we need to take a step back and examine the careers of both Sheryl Swoopes and Caitlin Clark. Swoopes was one of the WNBA's original superstars, a dominant two-way player who led the Houston Comets to 4 consecutive championships in the league's early years. She was a 3-time MVP, a 6-time All-Star, and a member of the U.S. Olympic team that won gold medals in 1996 and 2000. Swoopes was a true icon of the game, her influence extending far beyond the basketball court. However, as the years went on, Swoopes' relationship with the WNBA began to sour. She became increasingly outspoken in her criticism of the league's marketing efforts, player salaries, and overall treatment of its athletes. And as the WNBA's popularity waned, Swoopes only seemed to grow more vocal in her dissent. Enter Caitlin Clark, a young, charismatic point guard who has quickly become one of the most exciting players in the WNBA. Coming off a historic college career at the University of Iowa, Clark has burst onto the professional scene with a dazzling combination of skill, swagger, and showmanship. She's the kind of player who can single-handedly fill arenas and captivate audiences, the kind of player who could help revive the WNBA's flagging fortunes. It's easy to see why Swoopes would take issue with Clark's rise. In Swoopes' eyes, Clark's individualistic style and penchant for self-promotion were antithetical to the team-first ethos that had defined her own playing career. And with the WNBA desperately in need of a new face to rally around, Swoopes likely saw Clark as a threat to her own legacy and the league's future. The tension between Swoopes and Clark only escalated as the season progressed. Swoopes continued to make disparaging comments about Clark's game, her attitude, and her impact on the league. She even went so far as to claim that Clark's historic NCAA scoring record was more a product of volume shooting than true skill and talent. Swoopes' comments drew the ire of many in the basketball community, including the legendary Stephen A. Smith. Smith, who had previously been a vocal supporter of Clark, didn't hold back in his criticism of Swoopes. Sheryl Swoopes is exposing her bias with every one of her wild takes, Smith said. Soon enough, people might remember her more as the Caitlin Clark hater than the Hall of Famer she really is. The clash between Swoopes and Clark reached a fever pitch in late April, when the WNBA abruptly terminated Swoopes' contract as a commentator. The league cited conduct detrimental to the WNBA as the reason for the dismissal, a clear reference to Swoopes' controversial comments about Clark. The decision sent shockwaves through the basketball community, with many fans and players expressing outrage over what they saw as an unjust and heavy-handed move by the league. Swoopes herself took to social media to defend her stance, arguing that she was simply speaking her mind and standing up for the values she believed in. "I'm not sorry for speaking my truth," Swoopes wrote in a scathing post. "The WNBA has always been about more than just basketball, and if they can't handle a little tough love, then maybe they need to rethink their priorities." But the WNBA was unwilling to back down. In a statement, the league made it clear that it would not tolerate any criticism or negativity that threatened to undermine the sport's progress and the growing popularity of its players. The message was clear. The WNBA was ready to move on from the old guard and embrace a new era, and anyone who stood in the way would be swiftly dealt with. The fallout from this incident has been far-reaching, raising important questions about the state of the WNBA, the role of its veteran players, and the league's commitment to fostering a positive and inclusive culture. As the dust settles, it's clear that the clash between Sheryl Swoopes and Caitlin Clark is about more than just basketball. It's about the very future of the WNBA itself. On one side, you have Sheryl Swoopes, a WNBA legend who has never been afraid to voice her opinions, even if they are controversial. Swoopes has always been a fiercely competitive player and an outspoken advocate for the league, but her recent comments about Caitlin Clark have drawn the ire of many in the basketball community. Clark's electrifying play, charismatic personality, and record-breaking performances have helped to revitalize the WNBA and draw new eyes to the league. But her rise has also threatened the status quo, and some veteran players like Swoopes have struggled to embrace the changing landscape. As the WNBA looks to the future, it must navigate this delicate balance between honoring its past and embracing its present. The league must find a way to uplift its legendary players while also creating space for the next generation of stars to shine. And it must do so in a way that fosters a positive, inclusive culture that celebrates the game's diversity and the unique talents of its athletes. The clash between Sheryl Swoopes and Caitlin Clark is just one chapter in this ongoing story, but it serves as a powerful reminder of the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead for the WNBA. As fans, we can only hope that the league will rise to the occasion and continue to push the boundaries of what's possible in women's sports. What do you think about the WNBA's decision to terminate Sheryl Swoopes' contract? Do you agree with her stance, or do you believe the league was right to take action? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and be sure to check out our other videos on the latest controversies and storylines in women's basketball. The conversation is just getting started.